So they're gathering all this data in like massive, 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 unfathomable quantities, right? Like on scales that we can't even like begin to think like conceptualize. Because like we
Well,
can,
one of your European colleagues actually tried to figure this out at one point, and he concluded he's been using the internet for 20 years, like I have, and he concluded that Google has the equivalent of 3 million pages of information about him.
is this
So
Max
I'm just,
Schrems by any chance?
I think so, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm putting a number on what you just said, 3 million pages of information. Yeah,
Right. So say they have that on each of us, and
yeah.
say conservatively half the world uses Google. That's what. Like I don't even know. Like I don't even know how to figure that out in my head. It's too many zeros for me. Hang on.
And
Let me
they'll be
pop the
past four
calculator out.
billion by the end of this calendar year. By the way, they'll have gone over the halfway mark. So
So
they'll be
four.
past 4 billion people.
Right. Well, let's say 4 billion. Right. Four. How many zeros is that? One, two, three. One, two, three. One, two, three. Four. 4 billion. Yeah. 4 billion times. Would you say 3 million pages?
Yeah.
That is 1.2. Yeah, 1.2 with 16 zeros. That's what it's coming up as. That I don't know what that number is, but that is a
Well,
lot.
that's 1.2 times 10 to the 16th power is what we
Yes.
would say in
Yes.
scientific notation. Yeah, it's a very, very big. It's not as big as the number called Google.
They're approaching
Google
it
is a
though.
number. Google
Yeah.
is a number. It's one with 100 zeros after it, and that's where Google got the Google company got the name for the company. But the actual number is spelled Googol. So Google changed the spelling, but that's what Google is one with 100 zeros after it. And you're saying, well, they're up to 1.6 with 16 zeros
Yeah.
after it.
Yeah. 1.2 with 16 zeros. So like what is their goal here from your understanding? Like, what are they amassing this monstrous pile of data? Is it just like, because I don't know, they'll say, oh, so we can better serve our customers. And I don't buy that for a second. So,
Right.
like, what do you think their ultimate goal is?
Well, they have multiple goals. Most people think it's just to make money. Obviously, that's uh, a high ranking goal. I'm not sure it's number one, but it's high ranking, very high ranking. And they've made, a lot of billionaires there. So and I'm in touch with people there who won't leave because they have stock. They have stock options, and they want the stock to vest and to reach its full value and all that. So uh, they
Couldn't they just leave and
they
keep the stock options? Like,
it depends. It depends how long you stay. Depends how
okay.
long you stay. But the whistleblowers who've left, and I'm in touch with people who are thinking about becoming whistleblowers, but I'm also in touch with a lot of people who've left. And one of them, Zach Voorhees, walked out with 950 pages of documents. I have lots to say about that if you want to know, or you could get Zach on your show. He's great.
I'd love to have
But
him on.
yeah, he's very good. I can put you in touch with him. But the point is that their number one goal, let's say, is to earn money. So they're doing that very well. They've uh, and the COVID has helped them. So um, they were bringing in about $100 billion a year in revenue. Now they're past $1.5 billion a year in revenue. So they're doing very well in that account. Secondly, they work with intelligence agencies, not just the NSA and the CIA in the United States, but other intelligence agencies around the world. They got funding. The two founders, when they were graduate students at Stanford, and by the way, I've lectured in that same building where they developed the Google search engine, which is kind of funny.
Hmm.
But they were getting some of the startup money they got to as graduate students to start to develop the search engine came from U.S. intelligence agencies, because intelligence agencies need to spot threats. They need to spot threats to security. And what better way to do it than to have a search engine track people's searches, keep a record of people's searches. So, right from the very outset, Google, unlike other search engines, Google started tracking and eventually figured out how to monetize all of that. But also, they share that information with intelligence agencies, not just in the U.S., but in probably 90 countries around the world. And that's important. I think that's legitimate because if someone's going online and they're trying to figure out how to build a bomb, uh, I want, relevant, investigators, criminal investigators to know about that. So I think that's okay. But the third area with Google especially concerns me, and that is changing values. So Google has very strong values. They're very proud of their values. Politically in the US, they lean left. I lean left a bit. And they're very proud of their values. They were founded by utopians. And now we begin to look at the leaks and we realize, wait, this is serious. They're serious about this mission. So, mission one, make money. Mission two, serve the intelligence community, which is legitimate. Mission three, change values. In other words, make humanity better. So, but by whose definition? That's the problem. So, one of the leaks from Google was a video, an 8-minute video called The Selfish Ledger. So if you look up The Selfish Ledger and you put that in quotes and put my name next to it, you'll come to not just a link so you can watch the 8-minute film that leaked out of there, but you can actually look at a transcript that I made, and I've marked up the transcript to make it very, very easy to see, kind of what's important and what's disturbing in that film. But that film it was made by the Advanced Products Division of Google. It was never meant to leave the company. And what it basically says is that Google has the power to reshape humanity according to, and this is a quote, company values. Company values. Now, did they say reshape humanity? No, they say resequence human behavior. That's the way they talk about it. But they're serious about that. They're serious about their values. They're serious about knowing what's best for humanity, and they're serious about reshaping, doing whatever they can to bring about what they see as a better world. The problem is that, maybe half the people in the world, maybe a lot more than that, would not agree with those values. I mean, there are 1.6, almost 1.7 billion Muslims in the world. I don't think the Muslims would agree. There are a lot of people who lean left politically. I don't think who lean to the right politically or conservative politically. They exist in every country in the world. I don't think they would agree that, Google's values are the best ones. I mean, it's ludicrous to say your values are the best. Values, that's the whole point. Values are what people as individuals believe in, but different people have different values, and each person believes strongly in his or her own values. They're in a sense, they're equally valuable, at least from the perspective of the believer. So, they've got three big missions, and they have the power, unfortunately, to act, on these missions. And so that's the question: is given that they're unregulated, given that there are no laws that restrict their ability to do whatever they want to do, how do we make them accountable to the public?
Yeah, I mean that's my next question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to go after this? Because there's been, as you've noted, a few lawsuits, and then there's been a couple of recent ones against a couple of other big tech firms. I know that Steven Crowder is currently in a legal battle with both YouTube and Facebook, and maybe Twitter, actually. I know Alex Berenson recently won his case against Twitter and had his account reinstated, and now is revealing quite a lot of things about how the US government was leaning on Twitter. are not leaking are showing it on their own platform, which I find quite amusing. Um, and then yeah, then there's the lawsuit by a couple of attorney generals. I'm not sure if this is the one you're referring to. Against Twitter and I believe Facebook as well, for similar reasons about censorship during the COVID era. And like, is that the way you think that there's going to be like caps of power put on? Is it going to be like lawsuits, or is it like is it like individuals just deciding I'm out, or is it
The lawsuits
government?
accomplish nothing except occasional fines. And these companies are so big and have so much cash that they usually anticipate having to pay the fine. They put the fine aside. I
Mm.
mean, the EU has levied at least three very large fines, multi-billion-dollar, billion euro fines against Google since 2017, totaling more than 10 billion euros. That's nothing for Google. Google always appeals. So far, they've lost on their appeals, but again, it's the fines don't mean anything to these companies, even what we think of as big fines. So forget that. These legal actions will accomplish absolutely nothing. None of them are criminal actions, first of all, so they're not going after any individuals. And we do that sometimes. We did that with Enron. We went after their executives. That company that I forgot the name of it now, with that attractive female CEO who misled a lot of people, Elizabeth Holmes, I think her name is.
Yeah.
The government went after her and some other people criminally, and they have in fact been prosecuted. When it comes to big tech, no one's going after any of these people criminally. The only penalties are fines. Fines don't mean a thing. They couldn't care less. And no one's, well, in my opinion, no regulations or laws will ever make a difference, because that's a very slow process, and tech moves very fast. So what can be done that's real? Well, on the side of regulation, there is one thing that can be done. I know Senator Cruz is very interested in this, and that is that we could our government, or the EU, could do this, by the way, which in fact is more likely to happen in the EU because of a woman named Vestager, who's head of the European Commission that investigates these tech companies. That's the commission that's levied these big fines against Google. Here or in the EU, the government could declare that Google's index, which is the big database that they use to generate search results, should be made public, should be a public commons. And there's precedent for that in law. There's precedent for that in Google's own business practices. In other words, Google does give some other companies access to its index. And literally overnight, Google could create it's called an API. It's an access way to their index. And what would happen then is that you and I and our kids and would all set up competing search engines. You'd have thousands of competing search engines all drawing on all this fabulous data. And those search engines would all appeal to niche audiences, to women, to feminists, to Lithuanians, et cetera, et cetera. And you would turn the world of search into like the world of news media, where there are thousands of entities all vying for our attention and all drawing on the same information. In this case, Google's index, which is a very, very good, by far the best index of information about the internet that there is. That could be done. That's very light touch regulation. Google could still make money. Our government did something like this to AT&T, the big telecommunications company, a long time ago. So as I say, there's precedent, could be done. I published this proposal in Bloomberg Business Week in 2019, the day before I testified before Congress. My article was entered into the congressional record. It's out there as a possibility.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.